Some of you I know by your face or because I've interviewed you already. Some of you I don't want to say that you're the wrong person. Adam, let's start with you.
It's not
Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's just a lame joke. It's Father's Day. I'm allowed to tell a couple dumb dad jokes. So
Go get the bad ones out of the way first.
I'm Joe Eisma. I do a lot of work for Archie, Valiant, and Dynamite. I've done covers for Archie, The Archies, and for Charlie's Angels that's coming out in 2 weeks from Dynamite.
Hi, I'm Chrissie Zullo. I've mostly worked for comic book covers. I've done stuff for Fables, Star Wars, Forces of Destiny. I've done variants for Archie, Josie and the Pussycats, and I've done some toy design and poster art for Fandango.
Oh, and another person's coming in. My name's Joyce Chin. I've worked for just about every company at this point, and I've done Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, Thor, trying to remember Vampirella, Red Sonja, Xena, on and on and on. So I've done a lot of covers. Oh my God, it's him! I'm married to that guy who's also a comic book artist.
Oh, there's no room for me. I'm sorry, Adam.
Oh, so sad! We are a nightmare for moderators.
Your own nameplate already. Wow. I'm sorry, we already skipped your introduction.
That's good. Yeah, that's all right. Oh, no, it's game.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
It's him. So yeah, I've done a lot of covers over the years. I've been working since I think '93. Your turn.
It's my turn.
Explain yourself.
Oh, I'm Adam Kubert. I'm a reasonably talented guy.
Just call me Art for short.
And now Chris Stephens.
Yeah, I'm Chris Stevens. I've done work for Marvel and DC and just about everything they've got. So I haven't done any long runs or anything, so it's always been lots of.
No, generally my covers are all, hey, can you do this cover? And it's like, you guys are seriously turning Deadpool Duck into a thing? Yeah, it's been a thing.
That's my
really?
Marvel. That's my Marvel run. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I only have a couple questions for this one, and if the last panel I did with Arthur is any indication, he's going to tell me no, and then you'll have to ask all the rest of the questions. So
it's really the only reason I'm here.
I know it's to crush my spirits, make me cry. It's going to be amazing. If I have to go weep, I'll just step out. So, what is the main challenge you face when you're drawing a cover? Is it deadlines? Is it, holy crap, you want me to do Deadpool Duck? Like, what's the main challenge you face?
I don't care what they hire me to draw, because I like somebody's paying me to draw. So, I mean, literally, people can, I don't have an emotional connection to Deadpool Duck.
How can you not?
Right. But I did the cover, and I was like, since this character isn't making any sense to me, can I make it a noir cover? Can I make him look like a 40s detective? And they were like, go for it. And so I put him in a trench coat and hat, and he's they don't allow you to smoke cigarettes in Marvel Universe, so I put a lollipop in his mouth, and there's like tons of stuff going on behind him and stuff, and so you find things to like about the cover, even though you don't know anything about the character, and never will.
I was gonna say sometimes too, like they don't even give you a script. They're you just draw something for the cover. I like it better when you actually get a script, so you could kind of tell a story with the cover. But sometimes it's just like draw these characters.
I did a series of Alice Cooper Chaos covers for Dynamite. And like to this day, I don't know what happens inside the book because they solicited the cover so far in advance, and none of the art was done, and the scripts weren't done. So I was like, Nick, is it okay if I just make it circus themed? And so every single cover has a circus theme, and he just had said like make it the Chaos Girls and Alice Cooper, and so I have like some of the wrong Chaos Girls on there, and it doesn't really seem to matter. So yeah.
He just want to sell books.
Right, and it did reasonably well, but to this day, the interior is a mystery. I got the comps, and I just didn't open them because I wanted to continue it being a thing. Yeah. I don't know.
No.
Art's over there drawing. That's no fair. He's really he's being productive. Yeah. I think the most difficult
He's
thing
drawing
about
Lady Deadpool, which neither of us knew about before.
I didn't even know until
Can I
yesterday.
have it?
Yes.
I think for me, the most difficult thing about doing a cover is coming up with something that has never been done before.
Oh, I gave up on that. I just steal stuff.
And that's
That
actually,
worked. I'll do that.
that's what we try to do. I mean, of course, you want, you don't want to duplicate yourself or anyone else. You want to come up with something that's, that's unique. But you also want to come up with something that's that stands out, and that the contrast is up there, and because you have a wall full of comics, or however you buy your comics. So it's a selling tool. It's not only the character or the name on the top of the book, but it's the image itself which grabs people. So that's there's a lot of things you have to be aware of when you put an image together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I did a cover for Thor, and I loved the Thor arc with the Jane Foster Thor. And I turned in 6 sketches for them to approve, and 5 of them had something to do with what was in the book. And the 6th had a Pegasus behind her, and they chose the 6th one. I was like, yes, I get to draw Pegasus. But they wanted it because the image had a lot of impact, and it was a horizontal cover. Mm-hmm. And not because it had anything to do with the book. And people love that image. So.
Now, I have a question for you. You said you do 6 sketches.
I
6.
do. He does
I
too.
generally do 4.
Yeah,
Really?
Sometimes you
Generally
go
do.
nuts.
But I don't have as much work to do. I'm not as good as you. I'm not as productive as you.
Please. Because,
I don't know how you do it.
well, I find if I do more than one sketch, they're going to pick the one I don't want.
Right.
But I often
They always
find-
pick that
but I
one.
They
always-
always pick that. So I do one at a time. You don't like it, I'll do another one. You don't like this one, I'll do another one.
Yeah, that's not a
When I
bad
was
idea.
working with Dynamite,
Yeah.
they didn't always ask me for sketches at all, so I would just draw what I wanted
Awesome.
to do.
That's great. Here you
So,
go. Here's
yeah,
the finish.
here you go. Well,
Generally
they trusted me not to. I mean, I've been around long enough. I know not to put in
Yeah.
things they really don't want in
Right,
there.
right.
So,
Joyce, why did you draw all these penises?
yeah. I know. Well, I don't think there's any kids in the room.
Chris, Joe, how about you guys? Is there something that you...
Wow, really on the spot here.
No pressure, no pressure.
No pressure.
You weren't expecting to talk, were you?
Yeah, I think that's I think he brings up a good point, or Adam brings up a good point. It's doing the amount of sketches that you send in. Like they're always, if you send in, I tried to do maybe 2 or 3 sketches because there was a period when I was doing 4 to 6 to send in, and they'd always pick the one that I didn't want to do. So
Never draw one that you don't want to do.
yeah. So it took a couple of covers to finally learn that lesson for me. So it's I'm gonna try that. Just do the one at the time. That's a good idea.
One time, an assistant editor said to me, can you lob me a few sketches? And I'm like, first of all, I don't lob sketches. These things, for me, the sketch portion of the process takes a lot of time and a lot of thought.
Oh, no, I don't do that at all. It looks like chicken scratches. If they make it out, then
I
that's...
wish I were you. Yeah. It takes me a long
They
time
figure it
to
out.
do it. I don't want to knock something out that eventually I'm going to have to spend a good solid day, figuring out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I should have done it. I got a job for a company that's kind of known for bad girl kind of art. And I did a bunch of covers where they were actually doing stuff like falling through the air with guns and all that stuff. And then I did one cover which was their standard booty shot. And they were like, we want that one. That's perfect. We've never seen anything like that before. It looks like everything else you guys have. So I just did that one because they're paying me.
Right.
And I think sometimes I think that is true. They often pick the one that we least want to do, but you also have to figure they're looking at dozens of covers when they're working each month, and they sometimes see one that goes, well, I haven't seen that one in the last 2 years. Let's try that one. And you don't think about what we have to do.
I
But
saw
you
a cover.
also have ignored stuff.
I would never do that. That's not true.
I don't want to bogart the panel, but I like finding out how people work. And Art, I saw an image online where you did a commission with gobs and gobs of characters. I forget what it was
Fantastic Four 100.
for. That's what it was.
Probably, if it was FF.
I'm known for drawing gobs and gobs.
And I just thought, he did it for a commission, and then I guess Marvel saw it, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And-
yeah. They were doing wraparounds.
That's great.
No, it's awesome. No, I like that. No, I like that a great deal. I
It was
just
a
did one.
great- it
I
was
just
an
did one for
unbelievable
DC
image,
where I don't take as much advantage of it as I should with DC, but basically they've told me just draw something, and if we want to use it, we'll use it. So I just kind of did that on a Batman one,
Yeah.
so it's going to be one of the Batman 50 covers. And then, yeah, that was the case with that FF one, which I had a lot of fun doing, and then, finding more life. And they're also talking about making it a poster, and
Yeah, but there's the poor guy who has to color it.
yeah.
Is having a
Oh,
rough
I feel
time.
so sorry for him.
Yeah, it's Peter's.
Martin's the guy who had to draw it. I mean, that's,
No, but like Arthur
Yeah, but I
actually
got
knows who
paid
those
more than the
characters. Yeah. And Arthur knows who all those characters are, and there's some very obscure
Right,
FF characters
right.
on there, and so Peter's kind of having to
Right.
call for translations.
I bet, or do you like label them or do like a what is it
Yeah.
called?
Well,
like
because it was for a commission, no, because the guy was like just happy, and he was like that guy who loved so the piece is a drawing that has almost every character that was in the first 100 issues of Fantastic Four. So not everybody, like background characters. I don't think I put in the Postman. I can't remember his name now. He's not there. There's a variety of characters that aren't
You're
there.
looking at me like I would know.
He knows, like, there's been a couple people that walked up when we had the art at San Diego Comic-Con, the actual art, who knew all the characters. Like, were you alone a lot?
Yeah. So. And. So yeah, he's having to do a lot of research.
Yeah, and he occasionally panicked asking.
Occasionally.
So I'm going to ask my next question. So, what do you feel is the most important part of like developing the cover? Like when you're looking at the page, deciding how you're going to set up the cover, like what is the most important part of developing the cover for you? Like whether it be sketch or the way like the design placement is, how do you work that out for yourself?
The job on the covers is always to sell the book. So you want to have an image that shows the character in a good light generally, unless the editor tells you, like Joyce is saying, we don't always know what the story is, so the editor might say, oh, shows so-and-so is being menaced by someone. So you just want to sell that.
Well, and Arthur completely ignores design elements, so he doesn't care that the title won't fit on it.
I was going to say, like, you gotta always make sure there's room for that
No, and
title.
he doesn't care. He's like, they will
Not
figure
that
it
I
out.
don't care.
You don't give a shit.
Yeah, not at all.
just doesn't happen
Unrepentantly so. He's like,
stronger
he always
than
says,
not
they
caring.
will figure it out.
I always try to leave room for them to extend things if they need to, or the top or the bottom.
But not always.
It always works out. I still have a job.
I generally follow the rules, loosely, but like, there's two ways I do the cover, because sometimes I really do love what I'm doing, and I know the story, and I'm very emotionally attached to the character, and other times I'm just drawing the character and like filling out the sketch, but you want to make sure that it's a sellable, appealing piece of art, and I think that's the main thing. You want to deliver what they asked you for. So I don't like, it's not like fine art where you're like kind of doing this thing where you feel you've created your masterpiece at the end. Usually it's like, oh, I've made my deadline, now the guilt sets in. Now I feel like I wasn't good enough and I could have done this better. So.
And I was just going to say, I think that's why thumbnail sketches help too, because they're only like an inch by an inch little drawings that we do. And I think if you can tell what it is in an inch by inch drawing, then that's a pretty good way to see like how the silhouette will look, and that's a good way, I think, to see what composition looks best. Because it is, you want to like stand out on the shelf, so it's hard to do that when like, or it's hard to find a way to stand out when like everything has been done before. So I think that helps for me. But
That's a good idea.
You're gonna steal that.
I'm totally stealing that.
You know what's funny is like what I think about like keeping the title in mind in terms
Yeah, I
of
always
your
forget
composition.
that.
But like I've had publishers where I've done that. I've left them like a huge space where the title should go, and I'll get the cover and there's no title on it, and I'm like, why did you do this to me? I could have used that space.
I did that recently where I was the X-Men were lost in time. So I did a sketch. The figures are tiny across the middle in a white background. I drew the logo really big and a blurb, lost in time. They made the logo tiny, no blurb whatsoever. So the X-Men was like kind of floating just around. And
Makes no sense.
looks terrible.
Somehow somebody bought the art, right?
No, I still have it. I have to put some lettering on it so it looks like something.
I've lettered the logo in.
I should
And they-
I have the cover
Yeah.
before I had done that because I wanted the logo to be part of a cityscape, a future
Right.
cityscape.
Right.
So I was able to do that. And
Yeah,
this one
yeah.
I was like, you guys know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the worst mistake right there.
Probably would have helped if I turned in the cover sooner than a half hour before they needed to go to the printer.
He's generally,
Whatever.
they will hold the printer for him, like hold the print run. They won't
heavy,
do that for
too.
me. I get a lot of cover assignments is like, can you get this done by tomorrow? Can you get this done in 2 days? Can you get this done in 6 hours? So I do. And it's one of those like, it is one of those things where you just have to like, whatever you're doing, you just drop it and you do it. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways I do covers. Like if I have 2 weeks on something, then I'll wait until the last minute and rush it anyway.
So this is going to be my last question, so be thinking of your questions, because I had a panic moment a couple panels ago because of art, that, where I burned through all of my questions and was like,
They were terrible questions.
Yeah, I know, they are. I am a terrible question asker. So
The weirdest panel.
I know. What's going on?
History's greatest monster.
So, for you, as a creator, what was like the most impactful cover, like either in your childhood or like as an artist? Like, was there like one cover that you saw and you're like, wow, that's like amazing, and you immediately had to buy the book?
Walt Simonson's cover for Teen Titans X-Men crossover. That fold out with, yeah.
Yeah.
I think just personally for me, just a little backstory, I didn't really grow up reading American comics. Like I was much more into Japanese manga and stuff like that. But when I saw Tim Sale's Batman covers for The Long Halloween,
Oh, cool.
I was like, what is that? And that instantly like drew me in, and I wanted to read that. That and then the James Jean Fables covers. Also, I was like, picked up the book right away.
Oh my God,
to
so
get
you
the
got your
book.
dream gig when you...
Oh yeah, it was total
That's cool.
dream job, yeah.
Yeah, those are great covers. Gosh, the first one I think I bought for myself was, I don't know how old I was, but it was Man-Thing number 3, because Man-Thing was fighting an alligator in the foreground. And there's a helicopter right in the background with panicked people. I said, I gotta get that one. That's got monsters. That's good.
For me, it was Bernie Wright's Swamp Thing run.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about Swamp Thing, but they were before my time, but
It's beautiful art.
The art.
it was it was one of those things where it's like I had to get the back issues for those when I could. They were pretty cheap at the time, so I was able to get all of them. But he's still one of my favorites because he's Bernie Wright. But yeah.
This is difficult for me because I'm a big X-Men geek. So when you put me on this panel with X-Men artists, it's like you're killing me here.
You're just trying not
I know,
to panic.
yeah. But I mean,
My life.
Jim Lee's X-Men 275, the fold-out one, was one of my favorites. I always loved Art's X-Men annual covers that he did, especially the ones with the X-Babies, because the X-Babies are great. And I remember there was one Adam did when Claremont came back, and it was like Wolverine having surgery, or something. It was like an up shot, or like a down shot, yeah, sorry. And I was like, it was just a really stark cover. I mean, I like how it, it stood out from the other covers on the shelf. So.
Thank you. I'm a big fan of covers that tell a story and leave a cliffhanger for what's going on inside. And obviously, my dad was a classic who would use that whole idea. I couldn't really pick one particular cover, but those general covers and most importantly my dad's would be the ones that I'm most drawn to, I think.
Oh, and I wanted Adam Hughes' Catwoman run.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, like just beautiful storytelling.
Beautiful, great
Yeah.
artist, that guy.
Yeah, really amazing artist. So that was a nice run of, and it told the
Told
story.
the story, yeah. That's what I liked about those, yeah.
I tell you, covers these days are so high end. Some of them are such fine illustrations themselves. It's difficult to pick any one image that draws you more than others because there's so many out there.
Right. Do you think sorry, I lied. This is actually my last question. Do you think that like the variant market has really like upped the ante for comic covers because, you know, companies, especially like Boom and Dynamite and stuff, they want like 14 covers of something.
They've always, Dynamite's always done that
Yeah.
from the get-go, so nothing's changed behavior-wise.
No, I just mean like artistically,
Oh, yeah.
does it like
No, I
up
think
the
that's
ante?
mostly just, I think it's still the same job, it just makes collectors very unhappy.
And comic shops too, like you
Yeah.
have to order 1,000 whatever.
To get the one out
Yeah.
of these variant or whatever.
Yeah.
But for creators, I mean, there's a lot more work out there.
That's true, yeah. It gives
and-
more artists more work.
And
but-
the original market is
Oh, yeah.
awesome too, you know, popping those out.
And some of the variants are for shops, you know,
Yeah.
so they have their
Right.
own special
Right,
revenue.
right.
And I think that's kind of cool because they can target their market.
But like Adam says, it means more work for everyone, so that's
I
Right.
feel bad for the collectors,
totally.
you know, especially the OCD ones who have to
Have to have
each
everything.
one, you know, each issue. That's expensive, you know,
Yeah,
it's a
'cause
difficult thing. It is fun, you know, it's fun to see all the different versions of you know, what could, you know, be on the cover of a book. But man, that's a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, and I do variants like that wind up. We were at a show in Paris, and a guy came up, and he owned a bunch of Northern European comic book stores, and the Iron Man drawing I did was this variant for all of his shops. And I had no idea. It was like, I just do these variants, right? And they just go out into the universe. I have no idea where they wind up. So he had me sign a bunch of these Iron Man covers that I had done. It's like, I didn't know they were in Amsterdam and, you know, all over the place.
And now, oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it. No.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and now too, like J. Scott Campbell, he just puts out his own variants. So as long as you can order enough copies, you could even just put them out by yourself.
So here's a funny one. That fortunately, this company, I'm not going to say any names or the company, but the company decided not to do it. But they approached me about doing one of them. Was that they were going to do a comic, the first issue, all with the same cover, with 12 variant interiors.
No.
Oh, what?
Madness.
That's a terrible idea.
It was the worst idea. Unfortunately, someone along the line said
Variant, you mean the same
Variant
story,
interiors.
just drawn by
Totally different
people?
stories in
Oh,
every
different
book.
stories.
Different
Arthur,
stories.
You know, it would be
them,
cool if it was the
relentless.
same story,
Yeah.
drawn by different people.
It would be cool for a couple
Right.
minutes.
You guys buy that?
Same cover, though.
I would buy it just to read the story and then I'd be out. That
Yeah,
seems
make it
dumb.
up. Don't steal that idea.
No, I don't want that.
No, and he made fun of them directly to their face about it, so.
So I'm not surprised by
Yeah.
that statement.
He can't help himself.
For everyone's good.
I personally was put in my place. Thank you. Let's open up the floor to questions. Who has a question? Right here, man.
I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Mike. But what do you think of the current phase of blank covers, which is bringing it to you?
Oh, I don't know, we're getting paid, so.
Yeah. It's all blank paper.
I mean,
I sure wish Dynamite had better cover stock.
lucky with tons, but
Yeah.
blank.
Right.
I would say, I would reverse that and say, what do you think of it? Because it's just a blank, you know.
Well, no, I'm just saying, do you think it's helped your sketch market?
It doesn't make any impact. They would have been coming up if, I mean, I don't think it's helped or hindered. I think it's cool for the buyer, and there's
Yeah.
other people that come up with sketchbooks, and people who don't have paper and just ask you. There's still quite a variety.
Because nowadays, it's no longer, they have to bring a sketchbook with them or something.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like seeing everyone's take on it
Those
too.
are kind of cool, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's also, I hate drawing in sketchbooks, so I'd much
Yeah.
rather draw
Yeah,
on the
drawing
cover.
the cover.
Well,
yeah.
it's also a responsibility because you're now responsible for a lot of art.
Here's that.
And like, there's different levels of that. There's people who have sketchbooks that are filled with just like really quick sketches, and there's guys we know who have sketchbooks that, if you estimated them, would be several $1 million worth of art. I mean, like really impressive, insane, full paintings, and you know.
Oh, look, Alex Ross did 3 paintings in this.
Yeah.
Please
yeah.
don't give that to
Right,
me.
and like Ryan Bolin, full thing, you know, and like we're going to be given, we actually have one like that, and then we're going to be given another pretty soon to work on. And I was like, I kind of don't want this responsibility. Because, like, you know, I'm a klutz, right?
I
We're
got-
shut-ins for a reason.
I have a quick story talking about responsibility. And I'll never do a sketch, take a sketchbook home with me again. I was asked to do the last sketch in a cover, or in a sketchbook, and I took it home with me. And I lost them.
Oh,
And it was like a year went by, and I'm looking, turned the place, like I moved a couple times, turned the place upside down. I was in touch with the guy who owned it. You know, I felt horrible. I didn't know what to do, you know, until on Christmas, I was looking through a box, and it was like, oh my God.
Oh, right there.
It spoke to me.
Thank God.
So I felt, I did the sketch for the guy. Of course, I charged him double. No.
For the
I didn't
stress.
charge him. I mean, so
Guilt
I'll
always
never
makes you
take
work
a,
harder.
I'll never take a sketchbook
Yeah.
home. You know, it's just that means too much to me.
That's a
You know,
responsibility.
that's a huge responsibility. Yeah.
Well, taken, I mean, the people, this is the way the sketchbook travels, the Bizarro sketchbook. It goes from person to person to person, and then finally back to its owner. So it's, yeah, I mean, that's the only way you get to participate in that book. But it's an insane book. I don't know if you've ever...
And I've never lost anything. You know, it's like, oh my God.
So Dave's never given you this book?
No, I don't think
You should
so.
see
Don't give it to me. I'll only do it like overnight in my hotel room or something.
But before I ask the next question, what are you talking about? The Bizarro sketchbook. What is that?
There's a fellow who collects drawings of Bizarro, and so
But
it's full of
he's-
amazing paintings and drawings of
And
people.
people
Some
are
people are not with us
Dead
anymore.
and something
Yeah.
like just the most
'Cause he's been working on it for
beautiful
like
art you've ever
a decade.
seen. More than a decade, and he's a Hollywood guy. So he's had the money to do this, and it's just like so we were in England, and I mean he's a friend of ours, but we were in England, and the
guy who
sketchbook
owns the
was
book.
going to Charlie Adlard, and he'd had a personal friend courier from LA to England to give to Charlie, and Charlie was given the whole rundown. You can't put this in the post. You can't do anything but hand this back to me. You can't, because there's so much really, really insanely expensive art. And there's several of these people that have sketchbooks like this out in the world. And so Charlie's gotten this thing. He's like, oh, okay. And
He's
we
heard
see
all
him
the
and he
rules.
goes,
He's like, all right, definitely, I got it. I will listen to everything you've just
right.
said.
He goes upstairs, and I turn around, and the
He's
sketchbook's
left
on
it on
our
our
luggage. And so I'm like, thank God it was us, and I know exactly what it is and who it is. And then so this is talking shit. So Mark Texiera comes up, and Mark Texiera, God love him, is a pure soul, but it's like baby Huey, right? Like everything is lit on fire and covered in water by the time he's done. No matter where he's going, he's just a walking.
We took him to dinner one time. He walked up to the soda machine and filled it to the top, and then put it under the ice machine. Carefully carried it back to our table, chugged it, got up, went back to the soda machine, filled it to the top with soda again, put it under the ice machine.
Could not be a nicer, more generous human being, but his wife needs an
great
award.
ghostwriter.
So Mark sees the sketchbook and starts coming toward it, and I pick it up. I'm like, no.
I want to do it.
And he's like, he knows what it is too. And he's like, I want to put a drawing. I was like, I'm never letting you touch this sketchbook. You can do it on a separate piece of paper and then give it to Dave. And he's like, I want to see it. So I open it up, and I'm opening up these fold out
Let me touch.
and it's like, no, stop, no. So Charlie comes running back down, and he's like completely evacuated his entire intestinal system. There was I've left the sketchbook. I don't know where I've left it, and thank God we had it, because it would have just been an incredible disaster if it had been gone. So there's several people with insane sketchbooks in the world that have had the money and the time and the energy to do this. And I mean, one of the actors for Scott Adsit, who's Baymax, and is in 30 Rock. His book's crazy too. We actually have that at our house, and it's got like Alex Ross did a full painting of the 30 Rock cast as the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, wow.
Right, so it's stuff like that, and I mean, most people, there's sketchbooks you would feel bad about, and there's sketchbooks you're like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself now.
Right. Sorry, I hogged the question. Who has another question? Right there.
Is there any characters you don't like to draw? The inception of I can't remember the artist's name that escapes me, but in Spider-Man. He's like, yeah, I'm not drawing the webs, he just made a suit black.
I don't have any characters I don't. I mean, it's really like I've been doing it long enough that I don't take jobs I don't want to take.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like if somebody asks me if I want to do like a porn comic or something, it's like I've got no reason to do that. It's not that I object to porn, but it's like it does nothing for me, and it doesn't, there's no movement there. But so I guess I don't have a real, like I'm not thrilled to death about drawing like enemy ace, whole bunch of airplanes. I wouldn't be thrilled to death about like a Knight Rider comic book. Transformers would bum me out. Because people worry if you get the vent wrong or a screw wrong or not, they know. I don't know how they know, but they're obsessed enough that they know. So stuff like that bothers me.
You killed Bumblebee.
Right. So, like all My Little Pony would bum me out because people, the My Little Pony fan base is homicidal. So, oh my God, like all the people we know who've worked on My Little Pony have gotten death threats. And it's like, you got Pinkie Pie wrong. Pinkie Pie would never do that. Twilight Sparkle would have stepped in, and it's insanity, right? So there's books that I would, I'll pass.
My friend drew a My Little Pony cover, and a fan came up to her at a con and was like, I don't know the characters, but I guess one pony had gotten wings on the show, and the fan started crying because now that pony was out of another pony's league. And the cover artist, the girl I'm talking about, was just like, I just draw it. Like, I didn't write it. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know.
And there's a whole bunch of dudes that are invested that are just, like, they get online and they make death threats.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem fun.
That was that way. I was just.
No, I don't mind detail.
I was just going to say, I think for me, like, I had to do a Vampirella cover once, and just personally, I'm not really comfortable drawing, like, super sexy. So anything like that, I'll do it, but it's not, like, my comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah, I came in the 90s, so that's all.
It's
all fine.
Not that, like, I like art. Like, I'm not against art like that. I'm just not comfortable drawing art like that.
She's difficult because I've been looking at Vampirella art since the 70s, and I still don't know what her character is.
She doesn't really have
Just
one.
that girl who's got that red suit and the hair.
But the suit was actually designed by Trina Robbins. So it was a woman who...
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a woman who designed the suit. And a woman who's written a lot of feminist literature about comics. So there you go. I don't know. I mean, these weird things with comics. I like drawing Vampirella. I think she's hysterical. And at least there's no Booth Babe Vampirillas. Those women were interesting to me.
For myself, I would say covers or characters where you have to get the likeness.
Oh,
Star Trek or Star Wars. That for me, that's a chore.
Oh yeah.
I would do it, but it would take me longer.
Yeah. Likenesses are hard.
Yeah. Because then there's also a level of approvals that has to go through, which sometimes the people that approve just to have to.
They can be kind of crazy.
Their job,
No, Joyce and I did some Buffy stuff early on when they started doing the Buffy comics. They're like, this character's name is Angel. Can you make him look mean, but not evil? Maybe.
Menacing.
Like, I already don't like doing likenesses. You want me to have the character emote in a way that's like...
Can you make him menacing, but not scary?
Yeah.
Like, really? And then we'd drawn...
Approachably menacing.
We'd drawn Sarah Michelle Gellar wearing, like, a pair of, like, three-quarter pants.
All from the
like capri
photographs they
pants
sent us.
and sandals. And they were like, she would never wear that. I'm like, this was in the photo.
You sent us this.
You sent us. So there's a little bit of no one. I remember I did a gig doing 7 of 9, and it was on a cover for some magazine, some fan magazine. But like the art director wanted the pulse rifle. I don't know how nerdy you guys happen to be. Oh,
They kept on trying to direct it so that she's holding it like
and
this.
the stock is
but it's
going
got a
through
back,
her
so it has to go through her body for her to be holding it.
And like the art director on this didn't know the Star Trek fan base, and I was like, "You're gonna get letters. You're gonna get letters, and they're gonna think that I did this, and I didn't understand that the stock is now going through 7 of 9's body." And they were like, "No, that's not gonna be a problem." Like, you have no idea. Luckily, I didn't get the letters. This was pre-internet.
It's also hard to do a likeness and still make it look like your work.
Yeah, like
Right.
You lose your style in the process of creating a
Campbell's
face.
really good at that, but not many.
Campbell's very good at that. I don't even know how he does
Yeah.
No, I hate
it. Yeah.
I think
Screw
John
that guy, but-
Cassaday is really good at that.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
These
He
guys
did
on
Star
style,
Wars.
you know who he's drawing, but you know who drew it too.
Adam Hughes is really good. I like this.
I hate all those guys.
How long do you guys normally allot for your covers and like hourly? And I'm sure it depends on what you're trying to draw. Like he said, you know, he's got 10 characters. Obviously, that's going to take a lot more time.
10, only 10. Ah!
100. How about that? And then also, do you guys, in covers generally, you guys are the one that are also coloring them, right? You're doing the full thing.
Not me.
Not me.
Not necessarily.
Like,
Oh, I
No,
know.
it's almost never.
I would do the color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
What was the question?
No, I think most of us don't color our own.
Oh,
I can't
She
speak for everybody.
does.
She does, he does. So half of us don't color our own.
If it's one color, I color.
Like most of us are pre-digital. Like you guys are younger. Like the only time I've done colored my own covers that they were painted or copicked, and I've done that before, and that's a very, very different look than any kind of digital look. So it can go either way. Like generally, I did a whole bunch of Chaos when Brian Polito had them. I did a bunch of painted covers for him, and I've done painted Vampirella covers, and I've done, I mean, it
How long does it take to do a painted?
It doesn't take me much longer than to do because it's a series of cheats to me. Like, so if you're inking it, then you don't have to pencil as tightly. If you're coloring it, then you don't have to be as detailed with the ink, because then you can come up with the color, and the color has more flow. So it's almost like this weird thing where if you're doing all of it, it's like a giant series of cheats to get a different effect, right?
What media do you use for coloring?
Whatever is next to me that it hasn't fallen on the floor.
Are we talking like
Copic markers, pencils, watercolor. Yeah.
Mixed media.
It's mixed media. It's whatever gets the job done. And like, you know, it's always black line. I guess if you black line it, it's not considered a painting. It's considered an illustration. I don't know why that delineation. But and you work digitally, right? So it's no.
Yeah, I do all the coloring digital for sure, just as like a time saver. Like my first job I ever got in comics was to do a cover, and they would give me a month for each one, and I was like, wow, this is great. Like,
I've never had a month.
I know, like this is awesome. But then after that, the next
He's
job.
never had a month on purpose.
Yeah, like I feel like you maybe get 2 weeks.
I was never given.
Yeah. And I thought that was normal, but then I feel like the norm is like a week or 2 weeks to do a cover.
Yeah, it's usually about that. I've gotten a bunch of oh crap jobs because they know I can do it, which is to my benefit and detriment. But like luckily it's all been like car crashes, you know, like car crashing into a character, something like that. It's like, oh, it takes place in space.
people that you're given for the jobs? With it going in, I guess things are becoming digital. Has that affected the timetable that you've been given to, or you've been around longer?
You don't have to make FedEx anymore. You can do it.
So sometimes you can be working a little closer to the deadline.
Yeah, way closer to deadline, because before, when we started, you had to ship stuff back and forth. Or actually, when he started, you almost had to live in New York.
Not quite, but I
Yeah, you were
started
right on the
right at
edge.
the beginning of Federal Express.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I never had to move to the East Coast. I was always in
So, like, I remember, like, you would often have to, like, go to the airport to make sure your thing was mailed, if you were that tight on the deadline.
My dad picked New Jersey as a home because of its proximity to New York City. You
Yeah.
drive it in every week.
That's how most folk did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so finding out, like, later on, how Kirby, when he moved to the East Coast, and he was penciling a whole book and mailing it in a manila envelope.
In regular mail?
There was no FedEx, it was regular mail. There was no special, and it always made it, there was never a lost whole issue, but oh my God.
I know.
Yeah, nowadays it's just upload to the FTP or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it has changed, and it's changed for movie and TV too. I'm friends with one of the guys that was on Battlestar Galactica, and he said they used to just mail the reels via FedEx to Australia for editing, and like there was no copy for Battlestar Galactica, and that was long ago. And now it's all digital, and like there's all kinds of encryptions, and like you have to pass all these things to get in there to mess with it. But yeah, before it was all just. The thing went in the box, and the box went in the mail.
So I've tried doing other styles. I've tried outright copying people. I'm very bad at it. So it always ends up looking like me. So that's good or bad. You take your pick. Because it doesn't look like I wanted it to look, but someone else thought I did a good job. So,
I kind of call the whole process failing upwards. None of the stuff that most of us do is actually what we had in our heads. It's just the best we could do to get closer to it. So the style is almost a result of mistakes that create your look. It's like how your brain is warped makes it look that way. So I don't know. I mean, other people may have a different answer, but I definitely had a lot of influences that went into the way I draw, but I don't necessarily think I had a conscious decision about style.
and deadlines also help you refine what your style is, because you're just going to draw what you're going to draw.
Right.
Because you don't have time to think about it.
Yeah, I was going to say that having a really crazy deadline kind of takes the pressure off you a little bit, because it's like, what do you want? I mean, you gave me one night, so it's...
Well, because I have a kid, and generally during the day, if she's home, then I'm not drawing. So I draw overnight when she's around. So it changes what I can do. Because before I could, it's 24 hours a day, I could do that.
I think your style is formed by all your influences in a way. You're like this weird mix of all your favorite art styles almost. So I think even if you say try to draw just like, Art Adams, it's not going to look exactly like his. It's still going to have something of yours in it. So I think your personality kind of comes through in your art sometimes too. And even some people say you draw yourself sometimes in your art too. So
That's true.
Actually, I'm going to have to ask you to hold it, and they can talk to you at one of their booths. I'm going to have to wrap up. We have about 5 minutes left. If you could tell everybody where you're at the con so they can come chat with you and ask more questions about their art and their process. These are my favorite discussions to do in panels, because I love hearing about how the medium I love gets created. So if you guys want to just go down, tell where you're at the con, and if you want to plug your Twitter or website, any way that people can get a hold of you or just follow your art.
Well, I've got one more panel, and then I'm going home. So,
so you can't see.
I have an Instagram account. I put a lot of process work up, and people seem to relate to that. So questions, if I can answer them there sometimes.
And your Instagram is?
Adam Kubert.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Adam Kubert or adams.com.
Awesome.
I'm at table J1 in Artist Valley, I guess. It's not Artist Valley.
I just realized it was Artist Valley.
Artist Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me all weekend to realize that.
I didn't even look.
That's pretty great.
So I'm there till the end of the show today, and my Twitter handle is at Supajoe, SUPHAOE.
I'm at table L14 in Artist Valley, and my Instagram, Twitter, anything is just Chrissie Zullo.
Both of us are at row XX, which inexplicably follows row H in the artist area. I didn't make these decisions. He's got a panel directly after this, and then both of us are leaving Denver. So I'll be at the table after this until he's done with his panel. So you can come bug me, and our stuff will be sold by the people we're working with after. So it's a really awesome bunch of people. You should walk through all the Artist Alley.
There's a lot of really terrific artists in all of Artist Alley. Just walking around today, there's tons of really talented people.
Yeah, so go visit them, because all of us
in the next 5 minutes, the convention's open. Enjoy all of it.
I'm in row H, right across from those guys. And
he brought his super cute baby.
Right.
Yeah.
Just follow the screams.
She drools all the time. She's like a water resource that hasn't been tapped, I think. Yeah.
Well, like most babies. Oh, he's at ArthurAdamsArt.com, and he's on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm also on Instagram and Twitter. You don't want to deal with my Facebook page. I do a lot of screaming.
Sorry. What's your Instagram?
Joyce Chin Artist, and he's Arthur Adams Art.
Instagram's probably the best place to check me out, and it's Chris_Stevens_Illustrator. And I post up there pretty regularly. I try to keep it up to date. So there's a lot of drawings and photos of work in progress stuff on there.
Awesome. Well, let's thank our panel for talking to us about the cover.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for putting up with how obnoxious we are.
My podcast. We
Oh no, it's got a little bit more to do.
when this goes live, we should tag you in it and stuff. Incidentally, I'm a huge Conan fan.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out, is that more? Is that
The art that your dad did, he's huge for me. Like,
thank you very
so cool. Yeah, but thank you for being on the panel.
He's huge.
So, do you know where ours are now? Are we here? Are you still here in this room?
No, I'm not.
You don't know.
You don't have the pleasure of mocking me for yet. And I
The only reason I came here. I know, I've heard it. I know it's hard. Someone's never
on our podcast, and we'll tag you guys when it's on.
awesome.
You're awesome, by the way. Getting made fun of.